We can have a quick review of the accident statistics section and reports, along with how to create reports and also how to add historic data. So if we navigate to the reports tab and then health and safety, accident book is the report that will show you all of your live accidents and incidents. So as they come in, they'll be parked into this report. This should be blank on first deployment. Similarly, your accident overview should be blank on first deployment. We're going to have a few things in here that we're going to build out now over with some historic information and some live reports. I want to start by showing you how to raise an incident report or accident report. From the home screen on the mobile view, we can hit menu, and as we scroll down, again, these buttons may or may not be visible depending on your user level. Either way though, you will have the incident form. When you hit the button here, it will ask you to select a project. That will give you the options of the projects that you're assigned to. We can give it a note if we need to, but the report itself is just a case of filling in who the affected person is, their address, their job title, who's completing the report if that's different from the person who was affected. And again, the questions will be built out in the background, but is it a member of the public? We'll look for a description of the incident, times, where, machinery it was used. We've got a set of buttons that we can toggle on and off for what happened, and those match the HSE riddle reporting categories, similar with effect in exactly the same way. It's what's affected and how, matching the HSE. Next up we have the mannequin, where we can pick which part of the body was injured if it was an injury, and then a chance to put what actions were taken, any potential recommendations at that stage. We can also add images, and then we've got the HSE guidance around RIDDOR, what would be a RIDDOR report and what isn't, and it's just a chance for whoever's raising the report to say yes, there's a potential this could be RIDDOR, or no, it's unlikely to be RIDDOR, it's something less serious than that, and then who would be responsible for following that up. The final part would be to sign it off and hit complete form, and then that will save that record. Now that we've raised an incident, you'll be able to see that from the report. So if we go back to health and safety and accident book, we'll hide the side menu, you can see there now that there's an overview of what's happened in this incident, details of the injured person, etc. And you can export that report directly by hitting the export button should you wish. This button then allows you to follow up on that investigation, and if that was a RIDDOR or potential for RIDDOR, it would have a yellow background. So instantly, when we build this out in a moment with some more examples, you'll be able to see what's happened and at the click of a button. Similarly, if we just come back to the side menu there and jump into accident overview, see the statistics are now starting to build for you. So we've literally only had the one incident. AFR numbers aren't working yet because we haven't put hours worked in, which I'll show you in a second. But you can see that there's that one incident, and it's a minor one from 2024. Now you can navigate this page. We can jump to outcomes. We can see it was a contusion and bruising. We can look at cause. It was a slip, trip and fall at the same level. The injury was an arm, shoulder. And then again, you've got on and export the data view at the bottom. So this whole thing can be exported as one hit. So you can remove all of your statistics and an overview at the click of one button should you wish. In terms of hours worked, the software, if you're using it to its full extent, will be clocking the hours worked from live clock in and clock out information. So this number here will be going up if your teams are signing in, signing out, and building hours that way. Alternatively, if you have, if you're not using that aspect, you can literally type in the hours worked. So, for example, the month of March, with a relatively small team, we're going to say there was 5,000 hours worked. And similarly, should you wish to add in an incident for the IFR statistics or an accident, so RIDDOR for the AFR statistics for that month period, so going backwards, you have the option to do that here. And that's in historic hours. Now, this probably just allows you to build background data from your existing systems as you move to the new. And once it's done once, everything then should be live moving forward. So this is probably a task we do once. And we build out as many months, you can add new and go back and put as much time in for hours worked to get that historic data in. And I'll do that in a moment so we can get a more full overview. In terms of the incidents you're adding though, we can add a little bit more detail. So if we jump to historic incidents, which again will be blank on a fresh deployment, we can add a record in here. So this is purely to add a name of who. So we're going to say John Smith. Again, he's very accident prone. He wasn't a member of the public. We can pick when that happened. So in the past, perhaps that happened in July of last year, and we can pick a time for it. So again, you can be as specific as you want, but just uploading the data from previous. We can add a cause, so that's going to just populate that same drop down that exists within the box, and we're going to say this time it's a fall from height. And I can roll that back up and it'll pop in there. Similarly with an effect, and this time he actually broke a bone. We can pop that back up there. And on our mannequin, he broke his right ankle and a bone in his right foot. And this time we can say actually that was a riddle. And if you have your riddle reference from that when you did it at the time, we can put the riddle reference into there. So that then allows us to populate historic incidents with a little bit more detail. So it's an and/or situation. We're either going to do it in here with this level of detail, or if you just want the number for the frequency rates, you can just put the number in the boxes here. If we then come back to the performance overview, you can see that AFR and IFR numbers have come down drastically because there are some hours worked. I'll populate this with more detail to get that more realistic in a moment. But you can also see that there's another incident that's come in here, the riddle report from July 23, the historic we've put in. And again, there's no hours in that bracket in that period, which I'll populate, but you can see the table's now starting to populate with some more information. So as we're building this out, this task of getting historic evidence in and your hours worked up to date will allow this overview to become much more beneficial for you. I've now populated a few more live reports. So the dashboard from Accident Book is showing 4 incidents dating back to January, I think. These are just the report dates, obviously, are today because I've put them in from the demo portal. Those will actually be accurate if you look at it on your own live portals. I'm going to just draw attention to this amber one because this has the potential for it to become a riddle. So to do a follow-up investigation, we're going to hit follow-up investigate. And then from here, it's launching the same screen for you to do the follow-up. So we can just make sure that the project it's on is accurate. That initial report, you do have the option to upload a PDF if there's a paper copy of an accident book, but the information is populated from what was put into the initial report. And what you get then as you scroll down is this follow-up section. So we can just put some more detail in about first aid, whether the person went to hospital, were they absent from work. We can list any witnesses and attach any witness statements. Similarly, all the detail around what plant was involved, operatives qualifications, and then we can just toggle on the documents that we're going to have used as part of this follow-up investigation and maybe make any additional comments. Those documents can then be added as PDFs or as images. And then the investigation findings, we've got a hyperlink to jump to the HSE guidance on accident investigation should you wish to use that. But we look for a timeline and some contributing factors, primary cause, root cause analysis. Again, more guidance specifically on root cause analysis from the HSE here if you wish to jump to it. And then finally some conclusions. And in this instance, it turns out it was a riddle, so by confirming it in the follow-up, that will populate the statistics in terms of the overview. And again, the riddle reference will populate the data view within that overview. As we do that, we go through, we make sure we sign that off. We'll just put that in there as demo. And done. That's all in. We're going to hit save, which is great. That's saving, and we can jump back out of that form and back to this page. With this now confirmed as our riddle reportable incident, I want to draw your attention to one other thing actually. So within that report, so if we jump back into what was saved, down at the bottom here where it's the riddle reference section, and we've put the reference in, prior to that, should you wish, you can hit this guidance button and that will jump you directly to the HSE page where we can have a check to make sure that the incident is riddle reportable, check on who should be reporting it, but possibly more importantly, we can jump straight here to actually make that report online. So within our software, we've got those hyperlinks to jump you around to the right web page, and then from there you can make that riddle report. So again, from here, if we just now have a quick look at the accident overview, we can see we've got a lot more detail in here now. We've got more hours worked, which I've populated in the background in that historic hours tab. So we've just done it on an average of 40 hours a month. 40,000 hours per month, based on a team of 20 people working a standard week. And now you can see that the accident overview has given you that cumulative outcomes, gives you cumulative causes with a little variation in. Same with that cumulative injuries, which parts of the bodies are being injured. And then that data view down here is giving us all of that information. So this is the 4 live incidents where we can hop out of here and into the report itself. And the one detailed historic incident that was put in for back in July of last year. No jump here to view that report because that was put in from historic data. So the final part then, you could hit the export button. That will allow you to pick a date range, and then you can export your overview, so a version of this page within a specific date range. Similarly, the rest of the information can all be pulled out individually, so that data view can come out individually should you wish. And there is a raw CSV export you could also have in terms of using that to upload perhaps to SSIP, etc. But briefly speaking, that is the overview of the accident statistics and your safety performance reporting.